Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Samach Ches Amar Aleph. We're starting from the last words on Samach Zayin Amar Aleph. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said in the name of Rabbi Yeshua that we brought down in the Braisa in a chilik between kishuv that's done through illusionist, where he's going to be potter, and kishuv that's done with cucumbers through a real kishuv. A kishuv of the illusionist makes it seem like he gathered all the cucumbers to one place, but it really didn't happen. And then you have the kishuv that actually happened. That's going to be a chiyuv min ha-Torah. So the Gemara wants to be mechir, prove it from where did Rabbi Akiva learn this din, this whole chilik. Says Gemara, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshua Gamallah. Did Rabbi Akiva learn this chilik of the din from Rabbi Yeshua? About time we learned in Abraisa, Kishachala Rabbi Lezer, when Rabbi Lezer fell ill, Nichtas Rabbi Akiva Chaveru Lebakrei. Rabbi Akiva and his Chaveru went to visit him. Who Yeshu Bekinu Shaloi? He was sitting under his canopy, 4 poles with a shmat over it. And they were sitting in a room, in a parlor next in the sitting room next to him. That day was Erev Shabbos. His son of Rabbi Lezer came to take off his tefillin. And Garbai and Rabbi Lezer yelled at him. Huknas came out, went out in shame. He said to his chavenim, it says, it seems like my father's das is off and he's about to die and he doesn't know what he's doing. And the purpose for why he wanted to take it off, because we were dealing with the Esav Shabbos. So mitzvah the Esav Shabbos, meaning that there's no mitzvah to put on tefillin on Shabbos, and then he'll be liable to be carrying it from Rosh Hashanah. That's why he wanted to take it off. So right now, even though he's wearing the tefillin, but it's only a Rabbanan because it's a lavush, it's a tachshit. Anyway, that's why he wanted to take it off. So Rabbi Lezer said back, he was saying back, he heard what his son said, and he told his son, it's whose das it's going bad. It's your das, and your meaning and your mother, because it was out of Shabbos and they had to light Shabbos candles. So he was saying that their minds are, his Huknis and his mother's minds are muddled. Why? Because Hechmanichin is a skill. How could we leave the is of skill, meaning the lighting of the candles, which she didn't do yet, or keeping the food warm on Shabbos, doing Hatmana before Shabbos, and because on Shabbos it's going to be also Ayis Menateri, Ayis K'mis Shvus, and they're only dealing with Ayis of Shvus. Because this Shvus is, even if he went out for Rosh Hashanah wearing tefillin, is not Iser of Eitzah, because it's considered as a lavush and a tashit, and therefore, if it's a clothing or a tashit, he wouldn't be chayiv for it. Min ha-Torah. It's only Yisrael Rabban. Since the Chacham had realized that his mind was clear, was settled, so they right away they entered into his room and sat before a distance, of course, of 4 amis, because he was in Chayrim because he didn't agree with the other Tanaim who was psak. It's a story from before. He was mezalzel. I wouldn't call it mezalzel, but he wasn't masking to be makabel the roiv who paskined against him. Amalahem, Rabbi Lezer said, "Lama basam, why have you come? We came to learn Torah by you." Amalahem, he said to them, "Adash lamalei basam, why didn't you come till now?" Amalei, so they said to him, "We didn't have time." And Rashi says, or the Mefarshim say, it was really an excuse. The reason why the emes was they didn't want to go because he was in Chayim. Lahem. So he said to them, Tamei ani im yamus Mrs. Hatzman. I'm wondering if you're going to die a natural death. Rabbi Akiva said, well, what about me? Yours is going to be even worse than theirs. Meaning, we know Rabbi Akiva died through tremendous torture from the Romans. They combed off his flesh with a iron comb. Anyway, he took his two arms, folded on his heart, and he said, woe is the two arms that are folded on my chest, like two sefer that are rolled up, that you didn't learn anything from me. I learned a lot of Torah. And a lot of Torah I have taught. And he brings down, and I didn't diminish any wisdom from my teacher. Even like a dog that takes a sip from the ocean, you don't see a difference. So too, he says that he didn't even reach to the depth of his teachers. He says, I learned a lot of Torah with Leichis. I'm sorry. A lot of Torah I have taught with Leichisunim, Talmidei, Elakimichel Kishrei Feres, a lot of students learned from me, and they didn't receive only like a little dip in the makeup in a tube. Not only that, I learned 300 halachas in the shades of Baharis, of Atzaras, the shade white. There was nobody that asked me any questions. Not only didn't they ask me a question, I learned 300 halachas. Others say it was 3,000 halachas that I learned. And then when it comes to Netias Kishuyin, so it says, pertaining the planting of cucumbers through Kishuv, there was nobody that asked me any questions except for Akiva ben Yosef. Zog the Gemara. The Gemara tells a story. There was one time that I, Rabbi Lezer says, and Rabbi Akiva, we were going on a journey. Amali, Rabbi Lamdeini ben Kishuyin. Teach me the halachas of the plantation of Kishuyin through witchcraft, that you can fill up the field with Kishuyin. Amarti davachot, I said one word, Nismala kolas of the Kishuyin. And the whole field was filled with cucumbers. Amali Rabbi Lamadetani Nidityasan. You have taught me the laws of planting. Lamdeini akirasan. Teach me the laws of the uprooting. Amarti davachot. Then Rabbi Lezer says, I said one word, Niskapsu kolul makmechot. They all gathered to one place. Amrullah, so the Chacham said to Rabbi Lezer, after Rabbi Lezer finished his words of his pain, so the Chacham started to ask him, Shai's been a gate to Tum Vatara, a kador, a ball, a imum is a mold, that's a shoe mold, but it's all sealed to make shoes for it. It's a form that they use to make the shoes on that. Okay, right. So he says, and an omelet, utzor hamagolis, and a pouch, a leather pouch that holds pearls, mishkelis kitana, and a small weight which is covered with leather. Mao, what's the din? Do they receive tomorrow or not? Look, by the shoe mold, it's all sealed up, so there's no. In order to be makabel tumah, you have to have a kli that's a makabel. And it's talking about over here that it ripped, and then after it was ripped, it was makabel tumah, but it was still filled. The shoe was filled with here, it was filled with leather, so there was. It's not a real clean makabel. So you want to know if it ripped, is it a kli lekabel, and could you be table it in the mikveh without taking out anything from the shoe, or from the mold, or from the whatever you call it, the mold, or from the form of the shoe was filled up, and now it was ripped. Could he? And it was made out of leather. That's how it ripped. Could he be table it as is? Abelazar says if it was ripped, he says they up tummy and they're makabel tuma. And he says, and you can be table it the way it is. You don't have to take out anything from the shoe in order to be table it. So what's if he already finished the mold? What is the halacha concerning a completed shoe, but it's still on the shoe form? Is it susceptible to tumah or not? Abelazar says, "Who tar? It's not makabel tumah, but yatz nishmas v'tara." And Abelazar then departed, meaning his soul departed from him, betara, impurity. So, and it's brought down in Yerushalmi, he passed away when he said the word tar, when tar left his lips. This shows about his tara. Yeshua got up and he was matter the nidui. Sagt the Gemara, I say Shabbos after Shabbos Pagvei Rebbe Akiva min Kesade Leloi. First of all, they did it Erev Shabbos, and on Motzei Shabbos they took him out of nidui Erev Shabbos, and on Motzei Shabbos the Brisa says that the Chacham came for the last visit to Rabbi Elazar. And what was the purpose of taking off the nidui? In order to be able to deal with the tachrichim and his kvura, and they wouldn't have to put a stone on his aron like you have to do by a levaya of somebody who's in excommunication. So the Brisa talks about for the last visit that the Chacham did towards Rabbi Elazar. So it was Zog the Gemara, that was close to Erev Shabbos, and the Levaya took place on Motzei Shabbos. So Rabbi Akiva met up with the Levaya of Rabbi Elazar, and he escorted him at Kesar Leloi. He escorted him from Kesaria to Lud. And he was hitting himself, that he kept hitting himself until the blood was flowing to the ground. He then opened up with a hesped for Rabbi Elazar in the line, meaning the funeral line that they had, by saying, Avi, my father, the chariot of the Yidden and its horsemen. I have a lot of money, but I don't have money changers whom could change the money, meaning I have a lot of questions. I don't have anybody to answer them. We see that he learned Allah's from Rabbi Elazar. He learned for Rabbi Elazar, but he didn't understand it. And then he learned it again with Rabbi Yeshua in the Halei. And he explained it to him. Rabbi Yeshua then explained it to him. A story with Rabbi Elazar gave the story that we learned before with Rabbi Elazar, that he said one word and he made the whole field filled with kishuyin, and then another word and he gathered them all together in one. Hey, how is he allowed to do that? Somebody who does Maisa Kishuv is Chayiv Skila. And the Imam of Islam and Shiny, when they gave it for the purpose of learning the halachas, that's different. And it's mutter. For the Tana said, in the pasuk it says, you shall not learn to act. With the Isur. But the lasis you have to lamed. You're not allowed to learn to act. That you're not allowed to do. But you're allowed to learn to understand and to teach the halachis. That you're allowed. That's why they allowed it. And only would they put up in the Sanhedrin? Only the Chacham who became in the Yanim of Kishuv, in order to be able to judge the Mechashrim. Hadan Allah Abba Mises, we shall return to you. Perek Abba Mises, Hadan Allah Abba Mises, Hadan Allah Abba Mises. We shall return to you, Abba Mises. Now we're going to learn the new Perek Ben Sera Meira, Zak the Mishnah. The new Perek of Ben Sera Meira. This is also amongst those that are Chayiv Skila. But here Rashi says, Ba'emes, they didn't need this. They would talk about all those subjects that had to do with Skila in one, all of them in one Perek. When it came to Ben Seder Meir, there was so many dinim, so they made a Perek of its own. Ben Seder Meir, a wayward child. So, of which we learned in the Mishnah early on that he's Chayiv Skila Meimas and Nas Ben Seder Meir. From when could he become a Seder Meir? Mishnah Mishayav he sides when he brings 2 hairs in the area, 2 pubic hairs. That means after he turns 13 years old, then he's a gadol and he's Chayiv Mitzvahs. But before that, you can't punish him. And we said that 2 hairs doesn't determine him into a gadol. He has to be 13 years old and have the 2 smanim. But okay, sagt the Mishnah weiter. Ve'ad sheyakav hazakin, until that the zaken will surround hatachton, which will surround like a crown. Hatachton, it means the bottom by the erva. But not the period mamash al shetim chacham b'lashon hakiyah. The Torah taught him on the clean lashon, and that's why they said they called the sire ever b'lashon zaken. Shanema, like it says in the pasuk, leish bein, that there will be to a man a ben seru meira, and the chacham dashin dafke bein could become a seru meira, but loy bas, not a daughter, bein. So it sounds like a yeled, a child could become a seru meira, but loy ish, and not a man, meaning somebody who's a zaken is called a ish. Nevertheless, cotton is going to be potter from the punishment. So what's the pshat? So he says, "Shalei ba leklal mitzvahs." Only what type of a cotton is going to be potter that he didn't enter into the chiyuv mitzvahs, and so therefore you cannot punish him. He doesn't have a din of ben zayim meira. Only from when? Only when he's 13 and he brings 2 siders, when he becomes a gadol and becomes Mischliv Mitzvahs, so then if the bottom is he has around the gid, he has here going around like a crown, then he goes out from Bain to being called a Ish, but it doesn't mean Mamish a Ish, but at 13 years old. In fact, you want to cut him down on the potter. But where do we know a cotton is potter from the punishment of Ben Seder Meira? Not only asking a shayla from where. Kidiktani timer. This time we learned before in the Mishnah. A cotton is potter from punishment. Shalei balach klal mitzvahs. He never entered into the klal mitzvahs with su. And even more so, heichen ashkachon. Where do we even find by other dinim Torah the Anush HaKasiv that the Torah punishes a cotton for a avera that he did? That the that over here we're going to need a pasuk to tell you if he didn't enter into chiyuv mitzvah, he's going to be potter. You don't need a pasuk. And you want a non-halchikamian. This is what the humanity is. Atu ben seira meira al chetin, is a ben seira being punished for the sin that he committed? Is he right to be chayiv misa? What did he do already? When does he become chayiv misa? When he steals money from his father, and he buys a measurement of meat and a chatzi log of Italian wine, and then he pours down the wine down his throat, and he eats like hungerke. How do you call it? He eats like a unmensch, not like a normal person. He sits with a group of pustvatas, and surely, just for that, he shouldn't be Chayiv Misa. But you're being him Chayiv Misa al Shem Seif in there. You're going to kill him because of what's going to happen later. that after he's not going to be able to get money from his father, he's going to go rob other people. And then he'll kill. So because what's going to happen later, that's why he gets killed. If you're killing him, Al Shem Sefer, I feel a cotton. Nami, even a cotton we should maybe kill. That's what we would have thought. But Bain v'lo ish. We dash, and it says in the pasuk, Ben Seru Meira. So I would have thought Ben cotton mashma includes cotton. So over here, the reason why you had to tell us this limit that one who's not b'chliva mitzvah is not punishable by death, because I would have thought he is, because of these two reasons. Either because he shouldn't have been punished for what he did now, so you're punishing him for what's going to happen later. So a cotton should also get punished for what's going to happen later. And also, when it says Ben, I would have thought it includes a cotton. It says in the pasuk, Ki ish bein. So the lashon is explained when he reaches this ish. So he says when he reaches this child, when he reaches the ish age. On this, the pasuk says he's a serumera, and the pasuk teaches us the ben hasam legivuras shalish, a ben who is in the tkufa close to the zman that he'll have the strength of a man. That means he reached the age of ish, but he's not yet. He doesn't have the gevura of a ish. Until that is here that surrounds his erva like a crown. The Abchia learned in the Braisa with this lashon. From when does a ben become a serumera? When he brings till it surrounds the kid like a crown. When Avdimi came, he said that the pirish of the words of the Braisa, this that it says Yaakov Zakin la kafas. Esagid. It means to surround the member. Not the testicles. A cotton that gave birth, the son of a cotton does not become a ben serumeir. Only if the ben was born from a man. The ish, that means a gadol. Ben. Such a bain could become a ben serumeir, but Leila bain, but not a son of a son. The Gemara asked on the Dasha of Chisda, this pasuk is needed for the Dasha of Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Rav. That leish, this pasuk is telling you ben serumeir himself has to be a ish, and not that the father has to be a ish. Imkain. So for the Gemara, if he's only coming to teach us about the bein le'mekra, let the pasuk say ki bein leish. Instead of ki leish bein, it should have said bein before ish. This lashon saying ben before ish is more emphasis on the ben. And I would have learned from this that a ben serumeir is not naik by a cotton only if he's a ish. My kiyi leish. What is this that it says kiyi leish ish before the bein, which is mashma leish. We're emphasizing the father of the ben. So we conclude he's coming to teach us the Dasha of Chizda that the benoi of a cotton, if the father was a cotton and he had a son, that son is not shy to become a ben serumeir. So since the Torah wrote Le'ish Ben, it comes to teach us, Dafki if the father is a Ish. Saying that the whole pasuk was said to teach us the Dasha of Chizla, that the benai of a cotton doesn't become a ben serumeir, since the word Le'ish, Le'aviv Shalabem, it says with a lamed. How do you know that he's come to teach you that a cotton himself is not going to be chayiv? Maybe he's only coming to teach you the words of Rav Chizda, that the father, only if the father is a ish, then the ben can become a ben serumeir. But if the father is a cotton, the ben cannot become a ben serumeir. But if the ben is a cotton alone, how do we know that he cannot become a ben serumeir? Says Gemara, how do we know he teaches us both? And the Yemanim came, if the word Le'ish is only referring to the father being a ish and not to the son, Nemakra, let the pasuk say, Ki yeh ben ish, Seiru Meira, which would imply that the ben of that person became a Seiru Meira. I would have learned out from that the benai of a cotton cannot become a ben Seiru Meira. My leish, why do we add the lamed leish ben? Why would they mark them the word ish before bain and then have to add a lamed? He could have done it the other way, and you wouldn't have to add a lamed. He could have said ki yeh ben ish. By saying ki yeh leish, there's a reverse. You have to add a lamed. Shmami no tarte. From this that he learned the other way around with the putting an extra lamed. It's coming to tell us two drashas. One, that the father has to be an ish for the son to be a ben Seiru Meira. Number two, a cotton itself cannot become a ben Seiru Meira.